Joining us now, Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois. She is a member of the Armed Services, Foreign Relations, and Veterans Affairs committees. Senator Duckworth, thank you very much for being here. You know the real harm that war plans accidentally texted could do to Americans fighting on the ground. What's your reaction, and what questions do you have?
Well, the first thing is that none of those people questioned, number one, that they were on signal, and they were on signal for multiple days before Hegseth even put up onto the chain the war plans and the targeting information. And so the fact that every single one of those people works on that and was okay for multiple days with using this non-classified product to conduct this investigation, their war plans, shows a complete lack of professionalism and oversight by the people on there. And in fact, every one of those people should be fired. They should resign. Pete Hegseth is the most unqualified Secretary of Defense in history, and he is further demonstrating that by actually uploading classified war plans onto an unclassified network. And you're right, it puts our men and women in uniform in jeopardy, not just with this incident, but for the future. Because if I were our allies, I would think twice about sharing classified information with us.
This is going to be investigated. And if they come before your committee, what specific, other than asking them to resign, what specific questions would you want to have answered about how this happened?
Well, I want to know, when did Pete Hegseth transfer that information from a classified network? So he would have a classified computer, a classified device. He should be in a classified setting. It's called a SCIF. It's a special room you go into. And how did that information leave that setting to be uploaded onto an unclassified device? Because that is something he had to do willfully. He had to actively do that, either, by transferring it with a thumb drive or just by retyping that information and uploading. I want to know how that happened. I would want to know, why is it that the Director of National Intelligence, the CIA Director, the NSA, right, the National Security Advisor, and the Secretary of Defense, why were all four of them okay with Pete Hegseth uploading this information on an unclassified network? And not a single one of them said, hey, maybe you shouldn't be doing that. We should move this to a classified platform.
Senator, in Jeffrey Goldberg's report, Stephen Miller texts, and I quote, "As I heard it, the president was clear green light." Is that what's passing for presidential authorization for a military strike? Who's in charge?
Well, that's the question. Who is in charge? I have lots of questions like that. And is this something that has happened before? Are they doing this for other activities as well? Is this how Pete Hegseth is actually running the Pentagon right now via Signal? I'd want to know if he's transferred information to people in other ways, shape, or form. Elon Musk was just there in the Pentagon, and they said he didn't get a briefing on our war plans for in case there is conflict with China. But maybe Pete Hegseth, slipped him some information on the side, because he sure is playing fast and loose with targeting data and war plans when it comes to this particular airstrike. Look, as I've said repeatedly, Pete Hegseth should never have been tapped for this job in the first place. And every single day that he remains our Secretary of Defense emboldens our adversaries, it weakens our national security, and it makes America less safe. And the same goes for our Director of National Intelligence, our NSA, that's the National Security Advisor, as well as the CIA Director.
Do you think Republican lawmakers will demand the accountability that you're calling for?
I hope so, but I don't have high hopes. They've rolled over, time and again for the Trump administration. They might come up with one sacrificial lamb, but a scapegoat. But let me tell you something. Everybody on that call needs to lose their job.
One more question for you, Senator Duckworth. Since you are on the Foreign Relations Committee, I'm just wondering if you have heard from any of America's allies as a result of this story.
Not officially, but again, this is a pattern within this administration of mishandling sensitive classified information. And if I were our allies, certainly I'd be asking some real questions.
Senator Tammy Duckworth of Illinois, thank you very much for coming to The Last Word.